Picture this. It's a bright day and I am leading a packed hall of MBA students. I present to them a series of arguments on a case study, arguments that have always worked for me over the last several years, arguments that I believed were watertight. Which is when a young man stood up and asked a question. Not just any question. It was a tough question, and turned out that he had been using an AI tool in real time to analyze my arguments. And AI had given him enough to be unconvinced. Lo and behold, I was now debating much more than one young man and his question. In that moment, I felt something I didn't quite expect in a classroom. I felt mildly threatened. I've been teaching for years. I come from a family of professors. I know what a classroom should feel like. But this was different. I walked away from that class thinking not about how or why students should avoid AI in the classroom, but about how I could leverage it better. Worse, I kept asking myself this question: if AI could do that job, then what should I be doing? If artificial intelligence can inform, can analyze, critique, and even generate knowledge, then what is the role of the teacher? The moment made me wonder what happens to learning when the struggle disappears. Victoria Livingston, a professor who quit teaching after 20 years, put it best. And she blamed it on ChatGPT, by the way. She said AI wasn't just a tool in the classroom. It was interfering with how students learned. Faced with the easy temptation of AI, students were no longer willing to sit with the discomfort of thinking through their ideas, writing and revising and finding clarity the hard way. She said, quote, "With the easy temptation of AI, many, possibly most, of my students were no longer willing to push through discomfort." Close quote. And that's the real challenge. AI makes knowledge easier to access, but the learning was never just about accessing knowledge. It was always about wrestling with it, sitting with the discomfort of not knowing. So the question isn't, does AI make learning too easy? The question is, what kind of learning should we be aiming for in an AI-driven world? And when AI informs, critiques, and presents knowledge effortlessly, what must the teacher now teach? Maybe Khalil Gibran had already hinted at the answer when he said, quote, "The teacher who is indeed wise does not bid you enter the house of his wisdom, but rather leads you to the threshold of your own mind." Perhaps that is what remains. Not to provide answers, but to provoke better questions. To guide students not to what is known, but to what is still worth discovering. I don't have the answer, but I know we need to ask better questions. And maybe, just maybe, that's where the real learning begins.